evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You, with just 36 hours till England kick off and 36 hours 1 minute till David Beckham limps off. Elsewhere in the news this week, in Manchester, it's a tense first day back at school for Roy Keane's little boys. Channel 5 executives admit it may have been a mistake to set their latest cookery series in Broadmoor. And in London, the executors of Princess Margaret's estate remain undecided what to do with her dogs. On Ian Hislop's team, a comedian who's currently starring in her own series, A Brief History of Time Wasting, so presumably she's here for research, Linda Smith. And with Paul Merton this week, a well-known antiques expert, so he'll at least appreciate some of the jokes tonight, David Dickinson. Round one prides itself on coming first. Ian and Linda, your delayed departure.
Stephen Byers, leaving the government. Musical differences, I think. Don't know what the government's going to be like without him. It'd be a bit like the Beatles without Yoko. Oh, Alistair Darling, I suspect not a natural blonde.
Well, does he dye his eyebrows or his hair? Which is it? Or perhaps it's both.
He used to have a beard.
Did he?
Before it was outlawed in the Labour Party. No one's allowed beards or facial hair.
What colour was it?
It was black.
He's dyeing his hair, then the eyebrows and beard are black, the hair's grey. I reckon he's dyeing his hair. What's the answer? Which is it?
I don't actually have the answer to that particular question in front of me.
Why not? Everybody's talking about it.
Well, the Mirror are actually blaming it on the curse of the upper lip, they say, because Peter Mandelson had a moustache, of course.
Yeah.
And we know
that was in his Village People days.
Ken Livingstone also had a moustache.
Yeah.
That's a newt.
And, of course, Stephen Byers in early days.
Do you know, he looks just like General Musharraf in that. Never see him together.
Yeah. He's resigned, then?
He's resigned. He's finally gone, but no one's quite sure why. Because there are just so many things he should have resigned over. We don't know which one it is.
You don't often get a minister against transport, do you? If you travel on the trains, it's a nightmare now in Britain, complete nightmare. Every journey you undertake is identical to the one undertaken by Omar Sharif in Dr. Zhivago. Like this ancient, knackered rolling stock just crawling painfully across the land with desperate women running alongside it, chucking their babies onto it. I'll never see Pearly Oaks, but my child might.
I mean, he said he'd made some mistakes. He didn't say he'd lied. He said, I'll be remembered for lying, but I didn't.
He'd become
Which, of course, is a lie.
Yeah. He said he'd become a distraction from what the government is achieving.
Which is nothing.
I'm glad he did give a reason, though, because it's awful when people just go off and they don't tell you why.
Yeah.
Tony Blair be sat there thinking, well, what was it?
I think he's gone because of the Daily Express. We have them to thank, as they modestly pointed out on their front cover. Victory for Express as Minister finally answers our call to quit.
But it is actually true that he has gone because of the Express, because the last mess he got into was over the donation from the owner of the Express, Mr. Dirty Desmond.
Why is he called Dirty Desmond?
It's his official name.
Changed it by default, didn't he?
He did. It used to be Richard, but if you're running a porn empire, you don't want to be called Richard, do you?
Well, I don't know.
The abbreviation's a bit obvious, isn't it?
Yes.
The Labour Party said they were embarrassed about this donation from the porn mag, and then he invites Desmond to tea straight away.
So that would be, he comes round for tea and Tony says, oh, you must be so hot in that suit. I'll pour the tea. It's getting quite steamy.
And who's indirectly benefited from the reshuffle that there's been?
Paul Boateng. I hope you haven't brought that up so as to show a picture of him in a suspender belt.
No, that would be beneath us. However...
Is this when Dirty Desmond came round?
Even before Byers had resigned, Peter Mandelson was putting himself forward for the job of Transport Secretary, telling a radio station, I love being a minister, it's what I was put on earth to be. So as you're not, kindly leave the planet. After Mr Byers' declaration that he'd sacrificed himself for the good of the party, the Daily Mail's verdict was shameless cant. close but no cigar. Paul and David, your issue of note.
OK. Oh, this is the £5 note scandal, isn't it? There's the £5 note. There, God bless her. God bless her. The Queen goes to the disco. Serial numbers. You're
Serial
right,
numbers.
Serial numbers.
Yes.
High technology, unforgeable.
Yeah.
They can't be counterfeited at all.
No.
Problem is they've got no numbers on them.
No.
Right.
The numbers rub off.
They rub
Yeah,
off.
they do. And what was the
It's like a
explanation?
scratch card, really.
Yeah.
Very much like
And you win £5 every
Exactly.
time.
You scratch the Queen's face off and you find Jimmy Tarbuck underneath. It makes money fun.
Yeah. So why are the Bank of England so proud of this note?
As David said, you
Can't forge it.
Can't forge it. It's unforgeable.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't
most-
need to, because it's been withdrawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So if anybody forges it, they'll know who it is, because they
Yeah.
we don't have that note anymore.
Right. It has
You wasted your time, son. You're nicked.
an ultraviolet marking, is what it has. That's why it's so
So in
special.
strobe light, it gives you Britannia, is that right?
Yes, that's the idea.
Or an epileptic fit.
Yeah.
There is a precedent for this. This happened before.
That's
They had
right.
to withdraw £5 notes. Why was that?
The £5 note in 1946 was withdrawn because there was a rather unforgeable... King George was on the note, and if you folded the note in a certain way, it looked like he was having sex with a horse.
They got the date of George Stephenson's death wrong.
That's right.
Why they had to withdraw them. What do you mean that's right? That's nowhere near what you said.
George Stevens and sex with a horse. I think you'll find they come together in my world.
The word George was in both answers, which is
Yeah, exactly.
usually worth 10 points for Paul.
Yeah.
It started already. So who's replaced George Stephenson on the new note?
Frankie Howard.
Elizabeth Fry.
Top comedian, social reformer,
Yeah.
same difference.
They're actually the same, aren't they? What else is she famous for?
Oh, no, don't.
No,
That was her. Elizabeth Fry. Social reformer.
Shut your face.
Yeah. Somebody said to Elizabeth Fry, do you know that 10 people living in one bedroom? Oh, no, no, surely not. No. Oh, please. Oh, dear. That was her. Up Pompeii with Elizabeth Fry.
Yes. And she gave us Turkish Delight and Fry's chocolate cream as well.
Did she personally?
Well, she married the person who did.
Yes.
Yeah.
She married a man
Family.
called Chocolate Cream.
And there's
What are
been
the
issues-
chances of a man called Chocolate Cream actually making chocolate creams? I mean, it must be 1 in 100.
It's incredible. It's like Mr. Kellogg ended up making cornflakes.
Yeah,
You don't believe it.
It must be 1,000,001.
And why has there been a huge increase in £50 notes? You might know this, David.
because people have got more money to spend, more disposable income.
Yes.
You need larger notes. I mean, smaller notes now are not that
You're not in the
usable.
cabinet, are you?
No.
Sorry.
I think I could be. I think I could do as good a job probably out there as what's being done.
What would you like to be Minister of?
I think you should be Minister of Suaveness.
Minister?
It's just the tan. It's so fantastic. It's a beautiful mahogany stain, if I may say. When you're at a furniture sale, when you stand in front of a wardrobe, you disappear, don't you?
Well, can I tell you how I acquire it?
Oh, do.
Please do.
I buy myself an air ticket probably about 3, 4, 5 times a year, and I go out to a warm climate and I just sit round the pool there and then I take in the sunshine.
Oh, and you end up looking like Judith Chalmers' nan.
This is the new £5 note, hastily recalled by the Bank of England as the serial numbers have been found to rub off. After conducting their own rubbing experiments on the serial numbers, the Times reported after 3 minutes they're unreadable, whereas with the Times, of course, it's almost instant. Ian and Linda, your neighbours from hell.
Oh, that's Jack Straw.
And there's Stephen Byers in sombre mood.
That's the Indians and the Pakistanis. And that's the missile that's just been launched, I think, if this is the repeat. It's quite a big story. It's the end of the world.
Yes.
And there's 1 million armed men on either side of the border, and Jack Straw's gone out to sell them some weapons. It's quite difficult because the general from Pakistan gave what was described as a conciliatory speech, in which he said, "We'll fight to the last drop of blood." It's not far to go in terms of compromise there.
You've got to be pleased they didn't catch him on a day when he was a bit riled up, really.
And how does Pakistanis celebrated Jack Straw's arrival?
Well, they've been testing nuclear weapons every day, just ready to test them for real. And they found they do work.
How do you test nuclear weapons? Because, I mean, presumably testing them is the same as letting them off, isn't it?
Yeah, you let them off where there aren't any people. And then the real thing is where there are. It's quite technical, but...
I mean, what would you do? It's easy to criticise Angus, isn't it?
Yes. I'd send Jack Straw out there.
That would frighten you, wouldn't it? Oh, there are great big troops, and then suddenly arrives the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
This is the one story that may yet take David Beckham's foot off the front pages, the small matter of nuclear Armageddon over Kashmir. In a televised speech on the future of Kashmir, Pakistan's President Musharraf insisted, "We want peace in the region." Unfortunately, the peace he has in mind is the eerie silence that follows a loud bang. After a belligerent speech from General Musharraf, his counterpart in India told The Times he didn't even reach the lowest expectations we had of him. So, Pakistan's answer to Emil Heskey. Unless, of course, you're watching the repeat, in which case, what a goal. He's got his critics, but I'm not one of them. And finally, in this round, Paul and David.
This is the new Wembley Stadium. Oh, there's a television set. This must be about the World Cup coming up. That's probably David Beckham, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And then he's saying he's going to play. There's Roy Keane having a laugh because he's not playing in the World Cup, and he should have been, but he had an argument with his manager, who's English, and he'd argue with him because he said, "I'm Irish." He said, "Well, you're playing for the Irish team, and you used to play for the Irish team, but you're an Englishman." He said, "Well, some of the other players are English." He said, "Well, it doesn't matter because I'm Irish, and you're not. Look at the training camp. You wouldn't call this a training camp?" And so he got very upset and he went home. And he said, "No, come back. He said, "Well, I'll come back if you apologise." "Oh, no, I'm not going to. Well, I'll stay here then."
There's a story about the church that the Archbishop of Canterbury has changed the times of matins on Sunday so that regular worshippers can watch the football match instead.
He's also allowing giant screens to be put up in churches.
No.
What, during the service?
Not necessarily during the service, no, but just to entice fans into the church.
Well, why not go the whole hog and give them the communion wine free?
So football fans are going to say, where are we going to be able to see this football match? The church has got a television. The only one round here for 30 miles. Let's go to the church.
Thank God we might have had to go to the pub otherwise.
Yeah.
Not everything's gone to plan in the England camp. There have been some unexpected injuries, as we saw this week.
Is that the metatarsal?
Never heard it called that before.
It might be metabolic. I don't know. Oh, he's so sweet, David Beckham. He was being interviewed on the news, and the interviewer said, "It's going to be a great weekend, isn't it?" He said, "Oh, yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to start on Saturday or even Friday night and then go all the way through Sunday." So sweet. I love that kind of weekend, actually. I hate those Tuesday till Thursday morning ones.
They're not the same.
They're rubbish.
No, it's true. Various other countries have also been doing their bit. The Brazilians were trying to endear themselves to the local population. Here's Ronaldo. Attempting to win a Duke of Edinburgh award, perhaps. It is the build-up to the World Cup and the change in the time of church services in order not to clash with England matches. During the games, David Beckham will be wearing a long-sleeve shirt to cover up his tattoos, as it's feared they could cause offence to Japanese fans. And for similar reasons, Martin Keown will be wearing a balaclava. So, at the end of that round, the scores are like the congregation in the average church this Sunday, 4 each side. A couple of seconds ago, a tabloidal gem or two of such literary prowess as Ian and Linda. Beans means domes.
I presume this is the question about the selling off of the dome.
Well, not so much selling off as giving away.
Yes, but they've got 1 can of beans in return.
Are they magic beans? I think I know what the link with beans is. It's quite a tenuous link.
OK.
But there's a lady in a cafe, and she's made models for the Jubilee out of sausages and beans and things, like of London Bridge and all sorts of landmarks, including the Dome, which is mainly MASH, to be honest.
It's hideously close to the truth. Apart from the fact that we have the dessert version of the Dome here, which is actually made of syrup sponge with white chocolate fingers and dollops of custard. But that is effectively the same thing. This is by Maria, who works at the Borough Cafe in South London. That retails at £2.50, whereas the real Dome, of course, is nothing. And what's it to be, the Dome?
It's a symbol of New Labour's vacuousness. For all time, a total waste of money that no one was interested in and was lied about from start to finish.
That's what it is. What's it going to be?
I'm going to try and keep it that way.
Right. It's going to become a stadium, in fact, for sports and concerts.
Is it going to be a stadium like Wembley?
According to a BBC website, the new stadium could be used to stage shows by stars like Madonna or Barbra Streisand.
And it could not, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Or it could be a place where you dump your fridges.
Yes. BBC websites are very useful. There's you've got a BBC website, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Doing fantastically well.
Is it?
Would you buy the dome?
Even I think, could find a better use for it than what they've done with it. I mean, you could have the biggest antique shop in the world in that dome.
You see, no one's thought of that.
I mean, really, it's as cheap as chips, isn't it? The whole thing. I mean...
Your website.
Tell me about my website.
Oh, there's some excellent games on your website.
I don't look into the website very often, but I'm told there are excellent games.
Well, we can help you. There we are.
Blimey. I haven't seen that myself.
Your skin colour's very white there, isn't it?
It's not exactly PlayStation, is it?
No. But it's... I suppose it's a good representation of the programme itself.
Right.
It's not that challenging.
There's a basic flaw in the concept of the show, isn't it? Because they buy retail,
yes,
which is at the antiques fair, and then they try to sell to wholesale.
Absolutely
at the auction.
right. But
so
I think
really,
this was...
the whole thing is based on a complete nonsense.
Absolutely. Surprisingly enough, 40% of them do seem to make money.
Oh.
See, that's the fascination of the programme. Back at the quiz, this is the inclusion of the dome, along with several other British landmarks, in a Jubilee menu at the Borough Cafe in South London. Another Jubilee dish served up at the cafe is Windsor Castle, which, for extra authenticity, comes flambéed.
How do you get in?
Over the bacon drawbridge.
The toast.
You're supposed to eat it, not live in it.
Well, that could confuse stupid people.
One organisation monitoring the dome deal is the London Development Agency. According to The Independent, its 4 guiding principles are economic growth, knowledge and learning, diversity, inclusion and renewal, and sustainable development. Like so much else about the dome, it just doesn't add up. Paul and David, your unsavoury offering. BBC serves up spam.
Yes, this was something that happened the other day. The new Carolina Hearn show, Dosser and Joe, was sent to people's video recorders, or TVI players, are they called? Yeah, the BBC sent this programme to them, so they ended up taping this, even though that may not have been what they wanted to see.
Yes, the BBC overrode the settings on video recorders. They're called TiVos, in fact.
TiVos, that's it.
Yes. And what's special about TiVos?
I don't work for Curry's. The TiVo model, you see, is unique here, because unlike the VHS, the TiVo, and I think it'll be interesting. You can actually program in the sort of program, if you say comedy or bargain hunt, every time bargain hunt's a TVO, the little devil there will always take bargain hunt, no matter what time it's on. And if you say, I like antique programmes, it'll tape that for you.
That's the flaw with TiVo, is that, as Paul says, it predicts your taste. So, for example, if, like me, you want to watch Bargain Hunt, it will automatically take Car Boot Challenge, which is a dreadful show with a lot of imposters who are just not fit to lick David's mock croc loafers.
What is Car Boot Challenge? You lock somebody in a car boot and see how quickly they can get out.
What are the other new initiatives from the BBC this week? You read about them announced by Greg Dyke this week?
No.
Right. There are anger management courses to teach staff to be less bad-tempered, not to shout at each other.
Bollocks.
Rubbish. So did tempers fray on Bargain Hunt, David?
Many times.
Yeah.
Many times.
You don't sometimes feel like saying,
You don't
look,
sound
you
convinced.
spud, it says dishwasher safe.
And this is the row over the BBC's use of computer technology to send viewers unsolicited recordings of a programme via the video system TiVo. According to The Guardian, the TiVo system automatically builds up a profile of viewers' preferences. Selecting the BBC One hospital drama Casualty prompts the device to record Holby City as well. So select Bargain Hunt and it'll presumably also record Crime Watch so you can see where the antiques end up. Uninvited junk signals the end of this interference with, well, neither side having the gumption to take a lead, level as they are on 6. Round 3 has all the hallmarks of an odd one out round. Paul and David, your odd mix. Cliff Richard, Mussolini, General Pinochet and a fat bastard.
They're all fans of Bargain Hunt.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Even Mussolini.
You appear to be proud of that.
Mussolini's holding his nose, Pinochet's wiping his eye, Cliff Richard's sucking an invisible lemon. That's slang. Fat bastard. I don't know, and I'm not sure I care.
Right. I can give you some clues.
Yeah, give us a clue.
Something you might see on a list.
List?
Wine list. They've all had a wine named after them, except all of them.
There can't be a fat bastard wine, can there? Because who's going to order that?
Is equally wrong.
There is a one. There is a
a
wine.
fat bastard wine.
In which case...
Oh, hold on, no. Cliff Richard started making wine, hasn't he?
Making other people wine.
Yes, the answer is they've all had wines named after them, except Cliff Richard, whose own Portuguese red was launched this week.
Blimey.
Yes, who'd have thought?
There's a wine called Mussolini.
Yes, and a wine called General Pinochet. And a fat bastard is part of a new generation of wines aimed at young people.
You mean literally aimed at them?
And there are talking bottles that say cheers when you open them.
You know, I find in a way every bottle says that to me.
General Pinochet not only has his own wine, he also has his own cosmetics and credit cards.
His own cosmetics?
Yes.
Because he's worth it.
Cliff Richard's the odd one out as he launched his own wine this week called Vida Nova. For his 60th birthday, Cliff hosted a spectacular party aboard a luxury cruise ship where guests included Cilla Black, Tim Rice, Cheryl Baker, Gloria Hunniford and Bobby Davro. Where's that iceberg when you need it? Ian and Linda, your power brokers are Tony Blair, Ian Paisley, Jeanette Charles and Concord.
Ooh. They are intrinsically themselves, apart from her, who's the Queen.
Well, what about then if Tony Blair and Ian Paisley and Concord have been impersonated by lookalikes and Jeanette Charles is the lookalike and she's impersonated the Queen, so she's the odd one out?
Is the right answer-ish. The answer is they've all been impersonated by the Queen, oddly enough, except for Jeanette Charles, who, of course, impersonates her.
The Queen has travelled to New York in 3.5 hours?
She does an impersonation of Concord taking off.
Does she?
She does.
I bet nobody's got the guts to tell her it stinks.
She does a number of impressions. Neil Kinnock, Cherie, she can do, apparently. John Prescott.
She does John Prescott. Hey, oh, come on, Andy. Your Majesty, the Zimbabwe... Hey, come here, Hey, sticks that, son. The Queen does John Prescott.
Yeah.
What a load of rubbish.
And how did Tony Blair offend the Queen this week?
He sat down before she did.
Yeah. But she hadn't been cleared for touchdown. No.
According to the Daily Record, Her Majesty's repertoire also includes a send-up of John Two Jags Prescott, pretty rich coming from Elizabeth Six Castles, Windsor. Which lasting impressions mean at the end of this act, well, the scores are about as even as Stevens get, being as it is 7-all. And so to the brief delirium that heralds our final missing words round, an array of headlines snatched from their columns, including many or not from this week's guest publication, the frankly unsurpassed Dickinson magazine, which is, of course, the official organ of Dickinson College, and not David's fanzine.
Where is the college?
What is it?
Dickinson College.
Oh,
yes.
Is it over here?
Pennsylvania, yes.
Right.
So stand by for get your what here?
Dome. Get your domes here. We got hundreds of them.
Even more bizarre.
Inflatable horse.
Not quite that
Fits
bizarre.
in the glove compartment of your car. One push and it's up. When you need a horse in an emergency.
Yeah. Dimbleburgers is in fact the answer. This is Jonathan Dimbleby who's going to be selling these at Glastonbury Festival. There he is.
Where?
That's a Dimbleburger.
Is it?
Yes. The advantage to the customer, according to Jonathan, being that they're locally produced, locally made and organic. The disadvantage being the embarrassment of having to order a Dimbleburger.
No, he says selling burgers.
Seems a bit rich, really, doesn't it?
The future is in fast food, he said.
You don't get Trevor McDonald running a whelk stall, do you? In the East End of London.
Unless he is actually running McDonald's.
Ah, yeah, could be. Could be. He's right. Give him a point.
Yes, it's a conspiracy. Next, bleep, bleep, bleep. It must be what?
Radioactive sheep. On the hillside, next to Windscale.
I can see where you're coming from. Bleep, bleep, bleep. It must be Big Brother. Is the answer, yes. Despite being supposedly live, Big Brother has a delay of several minutes to allow time to bleep out bad language, which, thank we don't have on this burger. Next, killer dormouse threatens what?
Haywards Heath.
Poland.
It's not actually that story.
Dickinson College.
It's not from Dickinson magazine.
Oh.
Devon's rare birds
yes.
is in fact the answer. And here is the killer dormouse. Next, Mandelson, I'd what if Tony told me to?
Disobey Tony.
I'd walk 1,000,000 miles for one of your smiles. Tony.
Have replaced buyers, is
Yeah.
what he said, yeah. This was the astonishing offer by Peter Mandelson to succeed Stephen Byers, the first example of the words Mandelson, Byers and succeed occurring in the same sentence. And finally, Devil Women break Dickinson's what?
Heart.
Oh, record.
Track and field record is the answer. The women in question being athletes Liz Allen, who won the 400 metres intermediate hurdles, and Emily Bonanno, who won the indoor 4x100 stupid name race. All of which frantic bidding means at the end of this little lot, this week's Old Phonies are Paul and David with 9, while this week's Old Masters are Ian and Linda with 11. So, a selection of sweaters in cashmere to our winners, a fortnight's holiday in cashmere to our losers. And I leave you with news that at Prince Harry's 16th birthday party, the magician fails to impress. In Paris, a diplomatic incident is narrowly avoided when Jacques Chirac falls for the old hand buzzer trick. And at a fortune teller's in Margate, one man is shocked to discover he doesn't have a future. Good night.
If you'd like to get the lowdown on David Dickinson and our Sky Digital viewer, then press the red button now and get to grips with Dickinson. More news for you next, because it's a summer weekend of it, here on UKTVG2.